Big fold.
No way.
Hello, my name's Joe the Donk, and today I'm playing 1-3 at Delago. My goal is to make $50 per hour playing 1-3, and I'm documenting my entire trip via this vlog. This is our second episode. This is my results up here on the left. We kicked off our challenge strong on a high note last session. Can we keep it up? Without further ado, let's dive into action and start donking. We pick up our first playable hand a few minutes in the big blind, 10-7 offsuit. It's an underground raise to $15, underground plus 1 3 bets to 50. The plus 2 player 4 bets to 125. It folds to me in the big blind. Oh wait, what's going on? Mr. Daniel Negreanu, Kid Poker. I know 10-7 is your favorite hand, but no, you cannot control me. No. I 5-bet go all in for $1,500 effective. Just kidding. It's a limp pot. I check my big blind. I turn 2 pair, bet, and take it down. Always nice to win the first hand of the night. First couple hands I played was quite boring. Raised with king queen off, miss and check fold multi-way. Set money with pocket fours, no set, no bet. Now our stack dwindled down a little bit to 1450. That's when we opened blind on the button and looked down at king 10 off. You can see I already put the $10 in the pot before peeling my cards. Again, if there are 2 recreational players in the blind, I'm opening my buttons blind. Anyways, king 10 off is actually high up in my button opening range anyways. Big blind calls $10 and we're off to a flop. Flop comes ace-6 jack with 2 hearts. We don't have heart. Action checks me, I check it back. You might wonder why am I not c-betting on an ace high flop in position. Well, I usually c-bet range in position using a small size, except that is on ace high boards. That's because 1, players are less likely to call with the weak stuff and raise with their strong stuff on ace high boards. For example, a hand like queen 9 might float on 8-4 deuce board with 2 overs, but will not float on ace jack 6, so players are less likely to call with the weak stuff. A hand like ace 6 will generally feel invincible here, so many players just elect to not raise, so players are less likely to raise with the strong stuff. Second reason is players play way more ace rag than they should, so they have more aces in their range than you think. Third reason, players get greedy and bet their aces too much when flop goes check check, which means when they check the turn again, they almost never have an ace, which opens the door to a much more profitable turn delayed c-bet bluff than just c-betting on the flop. The fourth reason, final reason, with king 10 high, I could have the best hand here with a fair amount of showdown value. So my general strategy on ace high boards in a single raise pot in position is to play a big bet or check strategy on the flop. I'm betting big with all my big aces because players were less likely to float with weak stuff anyways, so I'm just targeting the weaker aces like ace 7, ace 5, which these hands are extremely inelastic, meaning they will never fold. Anyways, too much strategy talk. I check and we take a turn. Turn comes the 5 of diamonds. Big blind checks again, so now I know he doesn't have an ace. I bet 15, just targeting flush draws, weaker pairs that will call the turn but will fold the river to a big bet, and protecting my equity against 2 random cards. Big blind calls and we take a river. River comes the 3 of diamonds, generally a brick. When my opponent checks again, his range is very capped at 1 pair hand at best. I could go 2 options, bet big to try to get 1 pair hands to fold, or take a lower risk route and check back to take my showdown value against missed straight and flush draws. I ultimately chose a safe route and check back as we have no hearts in our hand, and hoping I'm good. But we lose to 3 deuce offsuit. Oops. After winning and losing a couple of small pots, we pick up our first 40% of a raw flush of the night, king jack of spades in the cutoff. One of the few racks on the table raises under the gun to $15. Folks to me in the cutoff, I have 3 recreational players to my left to act, so I am only 3-betting polar in these situations, because the racks on the gun range is pretty strong, and more importantly, he isn't going to make a big mistake versus my free bet, both pre-flop and post-flop. So I want to let recreational players behind me into the pot so they make 200 big blind mistakes post-flop. Anyways, I call, small blind, big blind comes along as well, so we are 4 ways to a flop. We flop middle pair and the nut flush draw, which is a very strong hand. Action checks to me, I decided to check it back, because although our hand is strong and has lots of equity, it's still middle pair, a marginal made hand. When all the money goes in, we're flipping at best, plus there's nothing wrong with playing more passively and cautiously 4 ways, and we are not afraid of any turn with a card except an ace. All things considered, I decided to check it back. Turns the beautiful king of diamonds, bringing 2 flush draws. We have now improved to 2 pair plus the nut flush draw. Small blind checks, big blind leads after 10, under the gun folds. This $10 lead is almost never an ace or straight or set on this type of wet board, so his range is generally quite weak and capped. But he can still have a bunch of things that are quite inelastic, like a flush draw plus gut shot, pair and straight draw like Queen Jack, King 10 type of hand. So I'm racing for value and making it $50 to go. Small blind folds and big blind calls. Let's take a river. River is a 6 of hearts, which is a complete brick. Small blind checks, a miss flush draws, never calling any bet, so I'm just targeting Jack X and King X type of 1 pair type of hand. So I ask myself, if I'm bluffing the river, how much would I bet for Jack X and King X to fold for this particular opponent? I came up with probably something like 130 or 140. So I bet an amount which is slightly less than 130. So I bet 115, hoping for a 1 pair type of hand to call. However, big blind snap folds, so he probably had a missed flush draw. Anyways, we pick up our first significant pot of the night. So after our last hand, we then lost 7 hands in a row in a span of 2 hours. Yes, 7 hands in a row. We ISO with JJ Barea, and then we just fold 3-way flop on a queen high flop versus a large donk bet. Check our option the big blind with pocket 7s over 4 limpers, and then we just check fold on the flop, no set, no bet. We open ace king off, 3 ways to a flop, queen high, and then just fold versus a large donk bet. We open 9-10 of hearts, same thing, we miss and fold on a 3-way flop. We raise with ace jack off, and then we miss, and then we just check fold on a 3-way flop. Same thing with ace queen offsuit. We open 3-way or 4 ways to a flop off jack 8-7, and we just fold. So our stack dwindled down to 1350 from 1500 after losing 7 good hands in a row. Until we pick up my favorite hand in Texas Hold'em, ace offsuit. The best hand ever created in this game. What a time to pick up aces. We desperately needed aces to break our losing streak. This is our first aces in the vlog as well. Let's go. Action starts with 3 limps. I ISO to $26 from the small blind, only the cutoff calls. Cutoff is a very tricky player and we are very deep. He has about 1200 behind and I cover him slightly. Let's take flop. Flop comes King H6 rainbow. It's a pretty safe flop. I check, as with my entire range in 3-bet pots out of position. He checks back. Versus this player, he's very tricky and trappy. This check back doesn't mean he's capped. His limping calling range has lots of 6s, H6 suited, King 8 suited, or even pocket 8s. He's capable of checking these hands back on this board. Anyways, let's play a turn. Turn is the 10 of spades. I bet 35, and to my surprise, he raises me to 105. Oh boy, this is not a fun spot. For one, I know he's got so many strong hands in his range that I'm drawing dead to. But I also know that I show lots of weaknesses by checking the flop, and he's capable of capitalizing on that. We're also still very deep, so wrong decisions are costly. In the heat of the moment, I was steamed up a little bit from losing 6-7 hands in a row. Plus, I did check the flop, which underwrapped my hand, so I made a call, but feeling rather uncomfortable. Let's take a river. The river brings the Nine of Diamonds, which is a horrible card. If he's bluffing with some hands with the 7, it just got there. Queen Jack also got there. I check, hoping for a check back, which of course does not happen. He fires a wager of 175, which is a very significant size. Against this sizing and this run out, there's nothing I can do but fold. Yes, cutoff knows that I have no 7s in my range and is capable of capitalizing on this, but there's nothing I can do but fold in this spot, I guess. This hand further shows that the power of position compounds when stacks are deeper. Even aces is very hard to play out of position. We have now lost 8 hands in a row, including losing a big pot with our first aces of the vlog. Sad face. We're now stuck around $270 and we added 500 to our stack to match the biggest stack. We're now in for $2,000 total. There's still plenty of time left. Let's try to climb out of this hole. We'll battle with this opponent later. Let's move on for now to our next hand. Next, we pick up Queen offsuit for the first time in the vlog. We're in the small blind again and faces a regular in the low jack who makes it $15 to go. Folds to me, I 3-bet to $60. This is a mandatory 3-bet and he makes the call. He has around the same stack as I do, so we are extremely deep. Let's take a flop. Flop comes 8-8-5, 2 spades. Reasonable flop. I check, as with my entire range, and he checks back. I can't imagine he doesn't bet his trips or full houses this deep in a 3-bet pot, so I feel that we almost always have the best hand at this point. His hand looks like some showdown value type of hand like ace-highs, pocket 7s, 9s, 10s, or even jacks. He could also have a flush draw like an ace-jack of spades type of hand and be checking back on this paired board to realize his equity, which is totally reasonable. We do have the queen of spades, however, so it blocks some of his flush draws like king queen of spades, ace queen of spades. Anyways, it's Czech Republic on the flop and let's play a turn. Turns the 6 of clubs. It's a pretty good card. Sixes gets there, but that's about it. We bet out $75 for value. He makes the call. Rivers the jack of clubs. JJ Barea gets there, but I can't be too worried. Front door flush draw bricks. I now have 2 options. First, bet small to get a call from 10s, 9s, 7s, etc. Seconds to check and check call a reasonable bet to pick off a bluff. In the heat of the moment, I elected to check because he's a 2-5 regular and he's totally capable of bluffing the river where I show lots of weaknesses. So I checked and he snap checks back, unfortunately. We know we're good and we fast roll and we win. Again, this hand shows that it's so hard to play deep stack poker out of position. We're prone to get bluffed and we cannot maximize value. Anyways, a win is a win. We win a reasonable sized pot to recoup some of the damage done to us in the aces hand. Let's move on. Next hand is a fun one. 3 limps, I check in the big blind with 8 deuce of diamonds. Flop comes 8-8-10 with 2 hearts. I check and action goes Czech Republic. Turn is the 8 of spades. We turn quad. Yes, I know we are going to win $15 at least. I bet $5. Only low jack calls, everybody else fold. Rivers the 7 of clubs. I just bet 300 into a $20-ish pot. It seems crazy, but when low jack calls my $5 on a turn, he has a full house. If not, a full house with a 10. Is a 10 ever folding here? Of course not. A 10 is extremely inelastic. It doesn't matter how much is there in the pot and how much I bet, a 10 is never folding. This game is called No Limit Hold'em, not Pot Limit Hold'em, so I jam for his stack, a massive 15x overbet. But he snap folds. I got laughed by the table for making this move, but I think it really depends on board texture. Anyways, good folds, classic quad over full house cooler. Nice then, let's move on. Big pot alert. We pick up pocket fours in the big blind. Middle position limps, bottom raises to 15, small blind calls to 15. I call to set mine, very easy call. Middle position calls 2. We are 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes the beautiful 8-4 deuce rainbow. My heart is pumping. We flop our first set of the day. What's better is that small blind leads out for $25. There's no slow playing here, as small blinds leading into multiple players. This is strength. So I just play a simple game and made it 105 to go. He only has 230 behind, so it's very easy to play a 2-street game. Everyone else folds, he calls rather quickly. His range is 8x, like 8-7, 9-8, 10-8, etc. and maybe some pocket 9s and 10s. If he has pocket 8s, so be it. Let's take a turn. Turn is the 8 of spades, which is an interesting card. On one hand, we're just coolering an 8, but on the other hand, hands like pocket 9s, 10s might slow down. He also reduces the probability of him having quads, but not like I am worried about that anyways. What's more interesting is that small blind does not check to me. He leads out again for $125, which is more than half of his $230 stack. Well, he has an 8, and this is a cooler. I go all in, he snap calls. I'm looking to fade a card that's close to an 8, like a 7 or a 9. River is the beautiful 3 of diamonds. I fast roll, and he shows JJ Barea. What? Unlucky man. We're now up 200-ish for the night, and we pick up a very playable hand, Ace Queen of diamonds. There's an undergun limp. I make it 15 next to act. Small blind calls, and undergun also calls. By the way, small blind is the tricky player who owned us in the aces hand. Can we get some revenge? Flop comes King 9-3 with 2 hearts. Action goes Czech Republic. Turns the Ace of Hearts. Action checks to me. I decided to check this one back, as the small blind knows that if I bet my hand, it looks like exactly what I have, and my hand is kind of face up. He can basically play perfectly versus me, so I get tricky and check this one back. So I check my top hand, top kicker on this wet board. Let's take a river. The river is a 9 of spades. The small blind leads out for $20. Undergun folds. Nothing else for me to do here except click the call button. So I call. Expecting to be good a fair amount of time, except that we lose. But we do not lose to a flush. We do not lose to a 9. We lose to Ace King. What? So he flatted our $15 raise with Ace King in the small blind. Tricky, isn't it? So good check by us on the turn. Next hand, it's our turn to upgrade to Ace King. We're under the gun, we open to $10, hijack and big blind calls. Let's take a 3-way flop. The flop comes Ace 5 Queen with 2 clubs. I check my entire range, and action goes Czech Republic. Let's take a turn. Turns the 3 of spades. The big blind leads out for $15. I'll usually 100% raise this bet for value, but the big blind is an OMC. I've seen him checking back trip kings and just flat call a bet on the river with the nut flush on a paired board. So when he bets, I don't know what to say. In the heat of the moment, I just felt something is off, and I just ended up just flat call the $15. And somehow it might have saved us chips, because the hijack just moved all in for $298. What? The big blind tanked, and he eventually folded. Of course, we cannot call, and we folded too. The big blind later claimed that he folded 5-3 offsuit for 2 pairs. So our read was right, but what is hijack's range? I guess ace 3 or pocket 3s only. Well, nice answer. Next, we pick up pocket 7s in the small blind. The 4 limpers are complete in the small blind, and the big blind checks. We take a flop 6 ways. Flop comes 10, 8, 7 with 2 spades. Yes, we flop bottom set in a limp pot on a wet and dynamic board. I check. Undergun bets $10. The +1 player costs $10, so is the button. The +1 and the button's range are very capped, unless one of them have exactly Jackknife spades, which is invincible at the moment. The only player that we are worried about having us beat is the underground player. Anyways, we have to raise for value. We make it $75 to go, which I think I could have gone a bit bigger, like 125 or even 150. Underground tank calls and everyone else fold. We take a turn, which is not a good card. It's the Jack of clubs, bringing 4 cards to a straight. I check and I'm happy to see Underground checks back. When he checks back, we know that it is unlikely that he has a straight, and we probably still have the best hand. The best hands he could have are 2 pairs like Jack 10, Jack 8, 7 8, 10 8, etc. Anyways, he checks back and we take a river. The river is the 6 of clubs. Doesn't change anything. I lead out for $85. This is a simple thin value bet, targeting 2 pair type of hands. And of course, we are bet folding. Underground tanks for a long time and eventually folds. We take it down. We pick up ace king off again, this time in the hijack. There's a button straddle to 6, small blind raises to 20. This is a strong range, but he only has like 200 behind, so we are happy to play for his stack. I 3-bet to 65 in the hijack, folds back to the small blind, he jams for 220 total. Of course, we make the snap call. It's an ace high flop and we win versus JJ Barea. Next interesting hand, the 4 limpers. We pick up 6-6 offsuit in the big blind and check our option. Flop comes Queen 10-5 all clubs. Action goes Czech Republic. Turn is the King of Diamonds. Again, action goes Czech Republic. We're still 5 ways to the river. River is the miracle 6 of hearts, so we river the set. I bet $10 and to my total surprise, the middle position snap raises me to $55. Oh boy, you can hear my reaction in a moment.
What?
This is never a bluff. This is 100% flop nuts. Middle position player is a very trappy player. So we river our miracle set and we fold. Sad face. Next, interesting hand and strategy alert. We pick up ace queen suited. On the button, a very playable hand. The low jack limps for free. I raise it to 15. Low jack calls. Low jack has around $600 behind. We heads up to a flop of King Jack 5, 1 spade, 2 clubs. I'm c-betting range small on non-ace high board, so I bet 15 he calls. When he calls the bet, he doesn't have the strongest of hands like 5s or King Jack. His range are mostly 1 pair hands like King 10, Jack 10 and draws. These hands are weak but also quite inelastic. So our plan is to bet big on blank turns so he calls with his weak but inelastic range and fold to a large bet on the river if the river is a blank as well. The best bluff is where my opponent calls the turn and fold the river. Obviously, this will not work against players that will just never fold top pair, but low jack is up for the day and is playing relatively snug at the moment. 7 of spades on the turn, giving us more equity. I proceed with my plan of wagering a bet of $45. At this point, I'm planning a huge bet on a river, which is a non-club, non-king or non-jack. If the flush comes in, however, we plan to bet smaller. Yes, we will get snapped off or raised by flushes, but that's fine. I'm only targeting his 1 pair type of hands. If they fold all of their 1 pair type of hands, the bluff is still profitable. A smaller bet is better in this case is because when the obvious flush comes in, 1 pair type of hands will generally fold to a smaller bet, thus making our bluffs more efficient. Anyways, I bet 45, he calls, and we take a river. River is, however, very interesting. It's the queen of clubs, which changes our plan. We suddenly pick up a lot of showdown value as we don't need to bluff off a jack. So after a little bit of thought, I elect to just check back after he checked to me. And indeed, the queen saved us because our opponent seems to be annoyed and shows pocket kings for top set. What? You can hear my live reaction here.
Holy shit. Can't beat that.
So our read was completely off the whole hand. The queen on the river saved us from potentially bluffing off a whole stack and giving him a double up. Top set is very good, sir. Nice answer. By the way, have we ever won a pot with ace queen today at all? Fun hand alert. We pick up ace jack offsuit in the big blind. Close to the cutoff, which is the tricky player that owned us in our aces hand and the ace queen suited hand. He picked up his cards and was about to fold, but saw me in the big blind and decides to raise to 15. I don't think he was angle shooting or anything, so I put him on a pretty weak range from the beginning. Anyways, I call the 15 and we take a flop, heads up. Flop is queen 6-5 with 2 hearts. I check, he bets 15. I decided to call with my ace high, no hearts, because I still trust my read, putting his pre-flop shenanigans as weak, so my ace high could be best. Anyways, I call, we take a turn. Turn is the queen of diamonds, which is a good card, as it's less likely he has a queen. He does not stop firing though, and bets $30. His range is now more polar, which means my ace high could be good here. A 6 or a 5 will probably check back the turn. Even aces and kings should be afraid that I have a queen and check back the turn. He's mostly wrapping 6s, 5s, and a queen, which is not many combos. Also, we don't have a heart, so he can have all combos of ace high flush draws. All things considered, plus I'm a donk, I'm a station, I call again with my ace high. River is the 7 of diamonds, doesn't really change anything except 7-8 or 7-4 hits a pair. If that is the case, I'm ready to lose the pot if it goes check check. So I check, however he does not check back and bets $90 this time. This is a polarizing bet, meaning that he does not have a 1 pair type of hand like 6, a 5 or a 7. This is trick queens plus, which is a very narrow range or a bluff. I usually don't call river bets, especially if the sizing is quite large, but this time after a little bit of thought, considering this player is tricky and capable, the pre-flop shenanigans and my post-flop reads, I made my first ever ace high call on the river, facing a raise pre-flop and bet. So I call and he shows Jack 9 offsuit and we win. LOL. We now have our revenge. Yes. Alright, this is the hand of the night alert. We pick up king 10 of clubs, 40% of the royal flush, close to us in the cutoff, and we make it $10 to go. Small blind and big blind calls. Flop is, let's say, above average. It's queen 3-7 all clubs. Yes, we flop the second nuts. What's better is small blind leads out for $13, big blind calls. Small blind has about 300 behind, but big blind is very deep and started hand with $1,000. Actions on me, I have a very easy raise for value, targeting top pair type of hands, ace of clubs, etc. I make it 75 to go and thinking about Vegas and the freaking Mirage. That is, until the big blind back raises me to 175 after the small blind folds. Oh my lord. This back raise is always the nuts. Oh my god, my heart sinks to the bottom of my stomach. We went from heart pumping to entitlement tilt. Big blind is a good player, so I'm sure she's not overplaying small flushes. Also, small flushes doesn't make too much sense as small flushes is more prone to protection, so it's likely that those small flushes will raise over the initial $13 bet. This can only be the nuts, nothing else. My mind has already folded, and I was telling to myself, this would be either the dumbest fold or the most genius fold. And after a little time to accept the reality, I painfully fold my second nuts. Oh boy.
Big fold. No way.
I folded it face up to get some reaction. If she had a bluff or a smaller flush, she will always want to embarrass me and tilt me. But instead, she is annoyed and asks me how can I fold this, which leaves me thinking that she had the stone cold nuts. She seemed genuinely annoyed in disbelief and soon left the table. Well, we lost a chunky pot, but I think I might have just saved $1,000 in this hand. The night continues and we have a new action player that plays any two cards coming onto the table and sitting to my left. I thought about a seat change, but I said to myself, if you want to take poker seriously, you might as well just get used to having loose players on your left. It's inevitable. We went card dead for 45 minutes until we pick up 9-10 offsuit in the cutoff. Votes to us, we open to $10. It's a very loose open, but we only have recreational players to my left. I want to get involved with the player on my left with anything playable, as he makes massive mistakes post-flop. As we have anticipated, Button, which is the action player, who has about 350-ish behind, calls. Big blind also calls. We are 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes 8-3 jack 2 clubs. We flop an up and down straight draw. Check to the button who bets 15. The big blind calls. I also make the call. This sizing indicates mostly an 8, as I see him betting close to full pot with top pair. Racing here to fold out an 8 and the big blind's cap range would be an option, but I have seen this player stack off with second or third pair before the river, just trying to hit that 2 pair of trips. So I don't think I have much fold equity, thus I just make the call trying to make my hand. Turns the ace of diamonds. Checks to the button who bets $15 again. Big blind folds. This sizing is never an ace, it's most likely an 8, so I stick to my flop plan and flop read to try to make my hand. River is very interesting, is the 10 of spades, so we actually make a pair. After a little thought, I bet out for $35. This is a thin value bet designed for an 8 to call. We will lose to a jack, but I trust my flop read that the flop and turn sizing is weaker than a jack. Anyways, I bet $35 for thin value. We get a tank call, we show, and opponent shows 8 deuce of spades, and we win. Always nice to see a thin value bet with third pair and get called by fourth pair. Alright, the next hand we're going to lose 10 hands in a row with a small to medium sized pot, mostly multi-way. Yes, we're going to lose 10 hands in a row. We raise with 10s and lose on an ace high flop. We raise with ace deuce of diamonds and we miss and fold. We raise with king queen off, we miss and lose. We lose with queens on a king high board. We open king jack off, we break and lose. We raise with ace queen off. What else can be good with ace queen for us today? We miss and lose. We raise with jack 10 of diamonds. We get a min 3 bet. We called it one big C bet on a jack high flop and we fold it to a turn barrel. Opponent had ace jack off, we lose. We raise with king jack off again and we got it in on a jack high flop versus a short stack. He had queen jack and queen on the turn. We raise with 10s, we bet 2 streets, and we lose on a 4 straight board. We raise with Jack 10 suited again, we brick, and we lose. Although these are mostly small to medium-sized pots, but they do add up. And we are back to almost break even, from up like 500 to break even. Until we pick up our first king offsuit in the vlog on the button. Yes, our first kings. We open the button and everyone folds. I can't believe it. The past 10 hands, there had been limpers, multi-way parts, people calling big raises, etc. But the one time I get kings, it folds to me and on the button, and I open the button and everybody folds. Sad face. We are pretty late into the night where we're just about to accept that we will probably book a small win for the night. And then we pick up 10-10 offsuit in the big blind. Under the gun, who is the any 2 cards player, raises to 15. Hijack button calls. I 3-bet from the big blind to $78 and everyone calls. Yes, everyone. You got to love the late night action. Flop comes ace deuce with 2 diamonds. Action goes Czech Republic. Turn is another deuce. Hijack bets 50, which is a very small bet. Button folds, I make the call. We can still beat some under pairs like 9s, 5, 6s, etc. Under gun folds as well. We take a river. River is another 5. Goes Czech Republic and we win against pocket 4s. Just like that, we win a much needed pot. We went from almost break even to up more than $400. Let's go. Just 2 hands later, we pick up our second ace offsuit of the vlog and our second ace offsuit of the night. We're on the button, underground limps, I make it 20 to go. Small blind, who is the any 2 card player, calls with 300 behind. Underground calls with 1000 behind. We are 3-way to a flop, which comes deuce 6-5 rainbow. Small blind leads out for $25. Under the gun calls, I make it 125 to go. Both player calls. Turns a 9, which completes the rainbow. I'm a little worried that Undergun has 7-8, as I wouldn't imagine him overcalling a big raise with anything other than the straight draw to the nuts. Action checks to me, I decide to check back and evaluate on the river. River is the ace of hearts. Small blind leads out for 110 with less than 100 behind. Under the gun folds quickly, which is a relief. I put small blind all in and he folds. We win another big pot late into the night with aces to rocket our profit to over 600 again. What a rollercoaster ride, and what a night. Shortly after this, we won our last hand of the night in a bomb pot, which takes our profit up to more than $800. Unfortunately, I was getting ready to leave, so I didn't get the footage. Basically, I took a stab with queen high and queen on the river. Overall, wicked night. That's it for the night. We played 9 hours of poker. We bought in for 2,000 and cash out for 28.51, which makes a profit of $851. Our total results are also posted up on the screen. Overall, I felt pretty good tonight. I made hero calls, thin value bets, and big hero folds. I felt that I've kept my losses to a minimum in many hands while still capturing value from my value hands. If you like my content, please hit a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.